And I guess I just wanted to start off with a discussion about whiteness, which has become a big talking point in the past week.
Yes.
Particularly kicked off by this BBC documentary, which has been commissioned on the subject of whiteness, fronted by Afua Hirsch. There was a slightly strange advert that went out for it asking people, do you identify as being white? Do you feel you can talk about it? Why? Which looked a bit like almost like a white supremacist support group or something.
I thought it was actually a trap. I thought that was a trap to kind of coax out white supremacists. That's what I thought it was.
To actually bring them out of the mix. Okay.
I assumed it was something like that, but then it transpires it was research for a BBC show, which, as you say, is fronted by Afua Hirsch, who's the Guardian columnist, who talks a lot about whiteness as a concept and mentions it obviously in her articles and her book, British. And what's very interesting about this, I sent, just on a personal level, I sent out a tweet about this a few days ago when it was announced. And the point of the tweet was just simply saying that I think that this emphasis on racial difference and whiteness particularly is sowing racial division. And I was just making what I thought was a fair criticism. Maybe it's not entirely fair because I haven't seen the show. Maybe it is a really even-handed discussion of this subject, but I doubt it because I'm very familiar with Afua Hirsch's work, so I know where she's coming from on this stance. But nevertheless, the tweet went kind of viral. There were lots of people read it. So lots of people who don't follow me ended up commenting on it. And about 50-50 of those who responded in support of Afua Hirsch and the show Whiteness were either woke intersectionalists or far-right ethno-nationalists. And it was honestly around 50-50, this kind of response. They're both on this issue in the same camp, in that they are completely obsessed with race and they want to see more further division, not unity. And that to me, I think is what's upsetting about the whole idea. You know, the concept of whiteness, it sort of transcends, for people who don't understand, it's not really just about skin color. You know, there was an event in Edinburgh last year called Resisting Whiteness. And within that, they were talking about basically power structures, the idea of whiteness as this kind of nebulous power structure that controls everything. However, it is, of course, linked to skin color because the organizers said that in the Q&A for that session, anyone who had white skin would not be allowed to participate. So there is a kind of obvious racialized, stroke racist aspect to the study of whiteness, which I think it needs to be interrogated at the very least. It's come from whiteness studies, you know, this thing which is a sort of the bastard offspring of postmodernism. And it comes from writers like Robin DiAngelo, who wrote a book called White Fragility. Robin DiAngelo believes that if you treat people the same, irrespective of their skin color, that is an act of racism. She thinks that you need to be hyper aware of race all the time. For me, all of this is illiberal. For me, I go back to the liberal values, which were encapsulated by Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. This idea of judging people on the content of the character, not the color of their skin. And you have lots of people saying, oh, well, you should read all of Martin Luther King's work. And, well, maybe he was a rampant racist in other areas of life. I doubt it very much. And I also don't really care about that because I think the sentiment encapsulated in that highly eloquent speech is absolutely wonderful and is the ideal. And by colorblindness, we don't mean you don't recognize or see or even celebrate racial difference. What it means is you don't care. What it means is you just treat everyone as human beings and you judge them on their thoughts, their actions, their words, their deeds, not their melanin. I think this is what we have to strive for again and again. Go back to this idea. You know, when Christopher Hitchens wrote his autobiography, Hitch 22, he mentions in that when he was asked on forms to indicate his race, he would always put human, and he would refuse, in fact. And I think this was a governmental form that he was required to sign on numerous occasions. He refused to put, because as he pointed out, ever since the human genome was decoded back in the late 1990s, early 2000s, we know that there's no substantial difference between us as human beings. We are all the same, you know, so I find it really divisive, really dangerous. And what disturbs me most of all is this alliance, this weird alliance between the ethno-nationalists and the woke intersectionalists, which I'm not trying to make a moral equivalence there. I think a lot of the woke intersectionists are well-intentioned people who genuinely think they're trying to make a difference. But what they are doing is unpicking the work of the civil rights movement, unpicking the sentiment at the heart of that Martin Luther King speech, which is why I do consider the woke movement to be essentially a reactionary movement, because it is undoing all of this great work and pulling us back into a darker time.